Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Jamie Samuel reporting, and welcome to episode 18 and my final episode of my Euro 2020 podcast, bringing you the latest updates on Euro 2020. I am joined for the last time on this podcast by Sam Savers and Stuart Kavanagh to wrap up a thrilling final between Italy and England and to wrap up what has been a most enthralling competition that will be remembered for its upsets, own goals, and of course, Italy's run to championship number 2. Boys, how are we today? And what a great tournament we just witnessed.
It was an amazing tournament that we witnessed. But thanks for having us again. I'm a bit disappointed England couldn't get the win in the end, but what happened after that game, from what I heard in the reports today, was a pure disgrace. But we will get to that when the time comes. But I'm really happy to be back on the episode.
Hey man, how you going? Just like Sam said, disappointed with the result. I'm kind of glad I got my prediction right. And the aftermath has been nothing short of horrific. That's absolutely right.
And disgusting behaviour as well. It's not stuff we need.
Yeah. There's no place for it in 2021, that's for sure.
Mm-mm.
Can you talk a little bit about what happened?
Okay, so basically what happened was Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, and Bukayo Saka were targeted by fans on social media and in person for pure racism and discrimination and I'm quoting this from fans, screwing up their chances of winning their first ever Euros. Now, it's not their fault they missed the penalties. They were put under a lot of pressure, if you think about it, in front of 30, 40,000 fans, screaming and booing, whatever. It's a lot of pressure to be put under, especially for those guys, because they're all young and they're just representing their country fairly new for the first time as well. And what happened to them, the discrimination they copped on social media, it's purely disgusting, and then the whole world knows about it. And a lot of the Manchester United fans actually, and Arsenal fans for Saka, was saying that all the fans are there for Rashford and Sancho, and that they're role models and they admire them, and they should not be targeted like this. And I agree with those fans who said those letters in Manchester. Same with Saka. He didn't deserve it. None of the players do, and it was purely disgusting what I heard on the news today. And I actually feel really sorry for them, if I'm being fair. And Italy feel the exact same. They know it's not tolerated at all, and something's got to be done about this because it's purely unfair.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good story. Go on, Stuart.
Yeah, Bukayo Saka's a 19-year-old kid. It took a lot of stones to even step up for that fifth penalty and, give it a crack and have a shot. Outside of all of that, though, we live in a pretty progressive society, I'd like to think, and it just it sickens me to hear about that kind of stuff still going on, to this day, and it's just abhorrent behaviour.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no place in sport for that. Sport's about being, good sports and respectful.
Absolutely right, Jamie. There's no room for discrimination. We had this massive problem in the NBA last year with that George Floyd death in the NBA last year. Look what happened there. Black Lives Matter. It's basically a repeat of that because I'm sorry for saying this, black young Englishmen or dark-skinned Englishmen have been targeted again, and purely discrimination because they stuffed up for England. And it's not their fault they stuffed up. They were under a lot of pressure, and they don't deserve it, unfortunately. It's just purely wrong.
Yeah, have to agree with you there. Now, it's time to dissect a thrilling final on Sunday evening. With Italy coming away with their second ever European title, they were too good for England in the penalty shootout, coming away with a 3-2 penalty shootout win after a fast, fascinating 1-1 draw. In front of hugely based England crowd at Wembley Stadium, England made the breakthrough as early as the second minute after a stunning strike from close range from Luke Shaw. Wembley was on its feet, the England fans in jumps of joy and jubilation, and they started to believe that this could be their night. It would remain that way at 1-0 until the 66th minute, where Italy would find their equaliser. Off a corner kick, Leo Bonucci would force it over the line after a few knock-ons and resulting in the goal that would take us to extra time. In extra time, there would be no extra score, so the final would then have to be decided in the most heartbreaking of ways, via the penalty shootout. Stuart and Sam, what was it that made you realise that England was so close yet so far, but to have the match end in a draw after 90 minutes and extra time to go?
To start off, sorry, Stuart.
No, go on, Sam. Please, I insist, mate.
To realise that England were, I reckon they were one of the underdogs this whole tournament because they had a fairly young squad. Right, they didn't have a lot of experience except for Jordan Henderson and Jack Grealish and guys like that leading the way. Now, they obviously had a lot of youth in the squad as well, which I think Gareth Southgate did a really terrific job throughout the whole tournament, giving other players an opportunity. Now, I thought the tactical change of bringing on Rashford and Sancho in the last 3 minutes of extra time to get a goal at the end, I thought it was a big risk, and Gareth Southgate said himself, it was a big risk we wanted to take. We didn't get the reward. I take full responsibility, and I'm quoting that after the final. Now, I wasn't sure what Coach Southgate was thinking at the time, but I thought it was an interesting tactic to try. Now, I felt like England were so close, and I thought they had it when they were in the lead for most of the game from the second minute mark of that great goal from Luke Shaw, from a brilliant cross from Kieran Trippier. Now, unfortunately, like Jamie said, Italy did get one back, and they had their chances, both teams, but both teams' back four were just purely brilliant, and unfortunately, I feel really sorry that England lost it in the end because of under a lot of pressure.
I think on the night, I think Sam made a lot of good points there. I do think on the night, Gareth Southgate got the tactics wrong. I was shocked to see that he switched to a back three for this game. At some points, it seemed like it was a back five. Phillips and Rice were really deep. Harry Kane was dropping off. It did seem like they got the early goal, which was great, and I was beside myself in my lounge room watching that. But it did seem like they just had the mentality of, okay, we've got the goal, that we're just going to hold on to this and try and make it through the 90. Even though Bonucci's goal was a bit of a goal-mouth scramble, I do feel that they deserved it. Chiesa he was tremendous, and it was a shame to see him go off injured. And then I went to the dreaded extra time, and it did seem like both teams were playing for a penalty shootout. I don't know about the Sancho and Rashford decision. It's odd to chuck those players on. It seemed to me like he was just chucking them on to take penalties. And I mean, the proof's in the pudding. They both missed. Saka seemed like he was a bit overawed by the situation. If you've seen him in previous games, he was kind of fearless and he was running at players and trying to get forwards, and it just seemed like he was a little bit nervous. I thought Sterling was tremendous. There's a couple of guys in that England team that really didn't deserve to be on the losing side, much like Schmeichel for Denmark in the semi-final. But at the end of the day, I think Italy were the better team over the tournament. They were the better team in the match. And, it's just it's devastating. It's devastating. England again in a penalty shootout. It just it broke my heart, actually.
Fair enough. So, to dissect the penalty shootout, both sides' first kick was successful from Italy's Domenico Berardi, and then Harry Kane would successfully score England's first shot. The first miss of the shootout came when Italy's next kick was saved by Jordan Pickford from Andrea Bellotti, and then England would really feel they had an advantage when Harry Maguire found the top right-hand corner with power and venom, giving England the lead in the shootout for the first time. Bonucci, who scored the equaliser in normal time, would equalise for Italy in the shootout with their next kick, before England's advantage was sadly lost when Marcus Rashford's stuttered run-up shot rebounded off the outside of the goalpost for their first miss of the shootout. Italy then regained the advantage via a goal from Federico Bernardeschi, followed up by another attempt to tie it all up by Jadon Sancho. Unfortunately, Sancho's had his penalty attempt palmed away, giving Italy the match point. Frello Fahilo had the opportunity to win the championship with his upcoming penalty for the Italians, but his shot was palmed away into the post and then out by Jordan Pickford's heroics. Before Bianco Saka still had the chance to score his penalty to keep England in it. His penalty shot was a tame penalty and an easy save for Italian goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma, meaning Italy won the 2020 Euro Championship and their first since 1968, a second ever title for I Azzurri. Sam, it was a phenomenal tournament from this Italian outfit. 34 games now unbeaten, 17 wins in a row, winning every game at this tournament. Give me your thoughts on if you feel the best side of the competition has won it and do they deserve it?
I mean, I'd like to say yes and no for do they deserve it, but they were pure class and, they were very smart with rotating players throughout each game and, they just knew what they were doing. They have a very good chemistry together, all the players, and they were switched on from the very start. And to the fact that they've been undefeated now for 34 games, 17 of them being wins in a row, that's incredible. I mean, that surely makes them ranked number one in the world now. And I think if they can keep this momentum going towards the World Cup next year in Qatar, I think they can win it there as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think that, without question, the best side have won it. Stuart, the old familiar story for England. Failed to capitalise yet again on a major tournament. Reaching the final was an incredible achievement, but on penalties to lose again, the old familiar tale. Take us through your emotions and thoughts.
Okay, my thought right now is, am I ever going to see England win anything in my lifetime? Because it just seems like penalty shootout heartbreak after penalty shootout heartbreak. So when England got the early advantage, I was super excited, and I thought, oh my god, this is actually going to happen. I've waited my whole life for this, and then it all went to hell, and I was crushed. I had to take a step away from it, and it was very early in the morning over here in Australia, so. I took a step away, I went and took a shower, and then I come out and I seen Italy, getting the trophy and stuff. And by then, a good 20, 25 minutes passed, and I was like, well, they were probably the better team on the night, the better team over the tournament. They're probably the best team in the world at the moment. I don't know if you guys watched the Copa America final, but if they played Brazil or Argentina in that game, they would have smashed them too. So, disappointment, heartbreak, but, credit where credit's due, and congratulations to the Azzurri.
What can England take out of this tournament to better improve in future tournaments? Do you feel they have achieved something by finally reaching a major tournament final?
They've definitely got the semi-final monkey off their back. They have an incredibly young squad, like Sam touched on a little bit earlier on in the pod. I mentioned Saka only being 19 years old. He's only going to get better. Sterling's still quite young, even though it seems like he's been around forever. They've got Trent Alexander-Arnold to come back. I always thought their weak spot was Pickford, and honestly, he was probably their best player on the night. And they've got a good nucleus to go forwards. And I don't know what you guys think, but I just feel like there's a bit of natural progression going on. So they lost the semi-final in 2018 to Croatia. They've lost the final in 2021 at Euro 2020 to Italy. I feel like if they can keep this squad together and if the FA can stick fat and just keep the faith with Gareth Southgate, I feel like they're a good shout to win the World Cup at the end of next year. So,
Yeah, hope you can be right there. I mean, yeah, natural progression is part of sport. We see it with a lot of upcoming sides, and I think that each step is a stepping stone to greater success in future. Every experience can be learned from, and I certainly feel like now that England's got the semi-final monkey off the back, they'll be more confident. They now have experience in playing in a major tournament final, and there can be no bigger opportunity than the upcoming World Cup in Qatar. Sam?
absolutely. I do think, sorry to interrupt you there, mate, but I just do think that it's absolutely crucial that they stick fat with Gareth Southgate. Otherwise, they're just going to be starting again. Sorry, I just wanted to add that.
No, that's all good, mate. Sam, Raheem Sterling and Harry Kane had excellent tournaments for England. Do you feel like it all went to waste for them, only coming second?
I wouldn't say that at all. I mean, they were just very unlucky, unfortunately. It's just a repeat history of the 2012 Euro final, going down again in penalties against Italy. And unfortunately, it's not good at all. I mean, something has got to be different, I guess. But they just came up against a really good side who wanted it more than them, I guess. And England should be proud of themselves, but I honestly didn't see them in the final two in the first place at the start of the tournament.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they certainly have achieved something by making it back to a final. Stuart, do you expect surely next year we will see Italy back on the world stage? After their incredible run since missing out on Russia 2018, what a turnaround this has been for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think death, taxes, and Italy qualifying for the Qatar 2022 World Cup are the three certainties in life at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, let's talk a bit about the rest of this competition. Stuart, this was a tournament of many upsets. Germany, Portugal, France, and the Netherlands all faded in the last 16 stage. For you, who was this tournament's biggest disappointment and why?
Absolutely, France. I mean, the signs were there from the beginning, but you always thought they had enough quality to get it together on the pitch. Unfortunately, they didn't, and they were beaten by a pretty valiant Switzerland side that, really they surprised a lot of people, and they were kind of unlucky to not go further, in my opinion. But yeah, without a question, it was France. They were the biggest underachievers of the tournament.
Yeah, totally understand. And yeah, I have to agree, it was definitely a disappointment for France being tournament favourites and only going out after having a 3-1 lead against Switzerland. That was a real shame to see them go out, but well done to Switzerland for the way they performed to reach the last eight. Sam, we saw a lot of underdog stories. We saw Iceland win their first ever competitive tournament match. We saw the Ukraine reach the quarterfinals. We saw Switzerland knock out tournament favourites in France in the round of 16. Denmark reached the last four. What for you was the biggest underdog story and what was the biggest surprise package for you at Euro 2020?
Another underdog story, which I wouldn't say is the biggest, is the North Macedonia making their very first major tournament ever. That's another one, but the way they were eliminated, especially for Pandev, one of the greatest North Macedonian football players who played for them for 18 years, that's another good underdog story. But the biggest surprise was definitely Switzerland beating France in penalties and pushing Spain to the limit. Surprise package for me, I reckon, was definitely Ukraine. I mean, for them to give a big shock win against Sweden, who I thought were going to win that match, was the biggest surprise of the tournament.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it was great to see some of the smaller nations really step up their game at this tournament and good to see some new names in terms of who qualified. I mean, it was really great to see Finland. It was really great to see North Macedonia and I really think that they deserve praise and congratulations for even making it. And it was really wonderful for the Ukraine reaching the last eight. And just to add to that, I really think after what happened to Christian Eriksen in the first game, it was so wonderful to see Denmark reach the last four. I felt like they really entertained the world with their football and their exciting play. And, I don't think they should be in the least disappointment with what they've achieved. Stuart, do you believe it was not a satisfactory tournament for Portugal, considering they were coming into this tournament as the previous champions?
Yeah. So the talk out of Portugal is this generation of players is even better than the last generation that lifted Euro 2016. I think they'd be disappointed. I think Ronaldo throwing his captain's armband on the ground, which is his new ritual when they lose, probably says more than I ever can. So, yeah, they're incredibly disappointing.
Yes. Sam, can you please take us through your best 11 from the teams that reached the knockout stages?
Ooh, okay. If we're just talking about the knockout stage, it's no specific order. Let's just get that clear. I think John Pickford will be the goalkeeper over Italian's goalkeeper. I just purely think that over Donnarumma, purely because Pickford had more clean sheets in the whole tournament than any other keeper, but I think he was robbed of the player of the tournament. I'm gonna say four defenders. Bonucci for one, Chiellini is another, Harry Maguire, and also trying to think of his name from Spain, but I can't get it at the moment. I think it's Garcia. The mids, from the final 16, Bruno Fernandes comes up to mind. I think he was really good. Masopust from Czech Republic. Thomas Delaney from Denmark. And Kevin De Bruyne. So that's 8. Now I've got my front three of Harry Kane, Romelu Lukaku, and Patrick Schick.
Okay, sounds like a very good team there. And Stuart, same with you. Who was your best 11?
All right, so I've got a 4-3-3. I do have some players similar to Sam. So I've gone actually Jan Sommer from Switzerland in goals. I know Donnarumma got player of the tournament, and I know Pickford had a tremendous tournament with all his clean sheets, but I think Jan Sommer he was tremendous in that shootout against France. Throughout the tournament, he made so many good saves. So he's my goalkeeper. I've gone Denzel Dumfries from the Netherlands at right back. My two centre halves, I've gone Chiellini. Honestly, the joy that bloke plays football with is hard not to like the guy. And, he's older than dirt, and he's the captain of the European champions, so good on him. John Stones was tremendous for England. I seen an interview with him where he said that he wouldn't even be in the tournament if it was played when it was supposed to be played 12 months ago. So just that turnaround in form was tremendous. Spinazzola, left back from Italy. Terrible luck that he tore his Achilles and is going to be out for 8 to 10 months. Even more terrible that he missed out on playing in a winning final. But I think he was there, in spirit on the pitch with the players. In midfield, I've gone the Dynamo from Spain, the 18-year-old Pedri. I went Mikkel Damsgaard from Denmark. That free kick against England was tremendous, and I don't think he'll be playing at Sampdoria for too much longer. Gini Wijnaldum, I thought the Dutch was tremendous while they were in the tournament. I know his pass kind of let the team in there for the equaliser, but I just thought he was great. And as I've mentioned on earlier episodes of the podcast, it was a bit bittersweet seeing him play so well, considering he's just left Liverpool, being a Liverpool fan myself. Up front, I've gone Raheem Sterling. I thought he was England's best player. He always looked likely. He was the opposite of Saka in the final. He was the only one that was kind of fearless and running at defenders and creating chances, and probably could have won it for England at the end of extra time there. Striker, this shocked me that I've even got this bloke in my team, but Patrick Schick. That goal against Scotland was tremendous. I think he was equal top goal scorer as well, and big things ahead of him. And left wing, I've got Emil Forsberg from Sweden. I always like watching him for RB Leipzig. I like using him on FIFA Ultimate Team, and it was great just to see him at the tournament. So yeah, that's my team of the tournament.
Yeah, sounds like some excellent players fitted in there. Sam, who was influential for the Italians in helping them bring home a second championship?
Definitely their captain, for sure. Leading from the front, Chiellini, leading from the front to take his squad all the way. He was good for sure. Jorginho was good. Insigne was just as good on the left wing, but definitely Chiellini, their captain, from start to end of the tournament. He was leading from the front, and he took the squad all the way.
Yeah, he was definitely influential there. Stuart, who could have done more for England, considering they went down in the end in the final?
Well, I can't think of anyone on the pitch that could have done more. I think Saka was a little bit overawed by the occasion. Harry Kane dropped off a bit, but that's kind of his game these days. Raheem Sterling was a threat, but he was basically a one-man army. Phillips and Rice were great in midfield. Mason Mount, I guess, was a bit in and out. So, I don't know. I think they could have utilised their bench a little bit more. I think Jack Grealish probably should have come on before extra time. He's just an X-Factor type player. And also another thing, I think, I know Gareth Southgate picked the people that took the kicks, and I know it was his call to have Saka take the last kick, but I think someone in a leadership position should have said, hey, buddy, you're a 19-year-old kid. I'm experienced. I've been here before. I've done it for club. Some of them have done it for country. Let me take the last penalty, So, yeah, I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer to your question, but that's my thoughts.
No, more than satisfactory there, mate. So I'd like to turn the attention to who you guys believe was the player of the tournament and why. Sam, let's start with you.
The Italian goalkeeper got it, but I'm going to give it to either Pickford or Patrick Schick. Schick was a very big surprise, young fella. He kicked a lot of good goals for the Czech Republic, but that one goal against, as Stu mentioned, against Scotland at Hampden Park, by far goal of the tournament. No questions asked.
Beauty, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a beauty. Absolutely.
But they're my two players of the tournament. If I had to choose one, but I reckon both were equal.
Okay. I'm actually going to go maybe a bit of a controversial pick. I'm not big on picking goalkeepers for team of the tournament, and I know this bloke got injured before it finished, but I think Spinazzola was probably the best player of the tournament. He was a revelation. I think Damsgaard is probably a close second. As much as I rag on him and I don't trust him, I think Pickford had a great tournament, and I think, the experts got it pretty right with Donnarumma as well. He's a tremendous goalkeeper, and by all accounts, he's signing for PSG, so it'll be interesting to see him lining up for the French champions next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Sam, let's start with you. Do any of the nations who have performed excellently at this tournament, such as Italy, England, Spain, even Germany to an extent, have a chance of going all the way at Qatar 2022?
I don't think Germany will make it. Portugal want to go out there and get revenge. England want revenge. But I just think Italy, with the way Italy are playing, I think they're just going to be too good at the end. But don't forget, you also got Argentina, Brazil, all the South American countries, because Argentina just won the Copa de America as well. So, it's going to be... But I'd love to see either Italy, Argentina final, not in the same group. I'd love to say at the next year's World Cup final. But I'll also love to see the Socceroos there next year. But I don't think they're going to do much. But just for the show to be in the World Cup after I think missing out on Russia.
No, they made
Russia.
They made Russia, just didn't get out of the group.
Okay, yeah. So I'd like to see them go a bit further next year.
Yeah,
for a change.
And Stuart, what about you?
So like I touched on earlier, I actually have just a really good feeling that England are finally going to bring it home. So I actually think England are probably the team to beat next year if they can hold on to Southgate.
Yeah, definitely. I for one would like to see England go all the way, and I'd certainly like to see the Netherlands come back onto the world stage. It was a disappointment that they missed out on the last two major tournaments, and I'd have to say it was definitely a disappointment for them only getting to the last 16, and it was certainly a shock that the Czechs were able to beat them, but full credit to the Czech Republic. I also, for one, think that Italy have a tremendous chance. They've clearly got the best side and most strongest side, and they're champions for a reason. The resilience that they've shown this year has just been second to none, and they were really deserving winners. Well, Sam and Stuart, what an amazing tournament we have seen. I would like to thank you both so much for being consistent guests on my podcast and joining me for wonderful discussions about the football. What a journey it was to seeing Italy, clearly the best side, win it.
Absolutely, mate. We enjoyed it as well. Not just the tournament, but being a part of your very first podcast is a truly massive honour on behalf of both of us. We really thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. Hopefully, if you do more podcasts on any specific sporting tournament or anything like that, give us a yell and we'll be happy to be part of it again.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, mate.
That's good. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. And that concludes episode 18 of my Euro 2020 podcast. It has been a wonderful privilege to bring you all the action across Euro 2020 on a consistent basis. I would love to thank every one of my listeners so much for regularly tuning in and listening to my updates. I would like to say, although it was disappointing to see England lose on penalties, a huge congratulations to Italy for winning this year's Euros. They were by far the best side and deserved to be the winners. Jamie Samuel, signing off for the last time, and thanks to everyone again for tuning into my podcast and being part of the Euro 2020 journey with me.